Right, well, we've got some breaking news out of Zimbabwe. The country's electoral commission has reported that MDC Alliance leader Nelson Chamisa to the police for apparently violating the Electoral Act. More than 5 million voters go to the polls from 7 a.m. tomorrow. 23 candidates are vying for the highest office in the land. Well, let's get a bit more now from our reporter, my colleague Peter Ndoro. He joins us live from Harare. Peter, just give us exactly what's happening with this breaking news that we've heard Nelson Chamisa being reported to the police. Give us more on that.
Natasha, thanks very much indeed. As you say, the press conference that Nelson Chamisa held this morning as the leader of the Alliance, MDC Alliance, is being regarded as campaigning after the cut-off date. And the laws in this country are very specific, very similar to South Africa, that there's a date upon which all the parties must stop their campaigning. And he held this press conference and really was in the end another call to vote. And the ZEC took great exception to that, and we now believe that he's been reported to the police. The CEO of the ZEC has confirmed that, and we wait to see just exactly how that plays out. So dramatic events taking place literally just a few hours now from the polls tomorrow. The polls will go ahead, but I suspect that this is a case that will probably pay out during the course of the week. But on the back of that, other developments that took place during the course of the day, of course, was the press conference that was held just before Nelson Chamisa by President Mugabe. You played a clip at the top of the bulletin there, and he spoke about his displeasure and his disappointment with the way that he was treated and his family was treated by President Mnangagwa. And he also mentioned, in some way, I suppose one can say, was actually an endorsement for Nelson Chamisa, where he said, when you consider all the other candidates, there really is only Chamisa. And he said he's not going to vote for ZANU-PF. So one wonders if that means then he's going to vote for Nelson Chamisa. There's always been this story that they were associated, that they were working together. And of course, another breaking story has been that President Mnangagwa earlier on this evening responded to the press conference that Mr. Mugabe had, and in that he hit back and he says, look, now it's clear that Chamisa is Mugabe in disguise. A vote for Chamisa is bringing back Robert Mugabe. He's made his deal with Robert Mugabe very clear. We'll have a full clip on that a little bit later on, but that's also another breaking story. It's been a pretty dramatic day ahead of those elections tomorrow. The country goes to the polls, and many questions being asked by the opposition about the ZEC, but the ZEC now pointing the finger at Nelson Chamisa, who's been the loudest in terms of complaining about some of the shortcomings he feels that the ZEC has. But we'll be going across the country tomorrow to cover these elections, and the president is expected to vote at his home constituency in just outside Kwekwe at a place called Sherwood, and we're going to be bringing you pictures from that moment tomorrow morning at about 8, and then at 8:30 here in Harare, Nelson Chamisa will be voting, no doubt casting a vote for the MDC. So a pretty dramatic day today. Two press conferences. The leader of the MDC Alliance wanted by the police, it would seem, for breaking the electoral laws. But I suppose also a question may be asked about President Mnangagwa and the statement that he made in response to the Mugabe presser, whether that's going to be deemed to be campaigning as well, because he does mention his party and urging people to vote for ZANU-PF. So this is a story that's certainly going to play out in the next day or so, and we'll be on top of that for you. And so that's where we'll leave it for the time being, but you must fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be quite a day and a few hours in the next 24 for sure.
Absolutely. Peter, thank you so much. Certainly an historic day tomorrow, a day perhaps that a few years ago, even a few months ago, was quite inconceivable. Peter Ndoro live for us from Harare. Thanks very much.